Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video. Today I kind of have an interesting idea for you guys. What I'm going to be doing is having a look at the RuneScape marketplace and seeing if we can build a retirement plan based on real life financial techniques and investments in the RuneScape economy. So some things I'm going to be having a look at are if we can build an index fund. Now an index is just a bunch of different stocks put together into one kind of fund. So basically you'd be diversifying into a bunch of different items or stocks by just investing into one fund. But we'll go explain a little bit more about that later. We're going to see if there's an equivalent to bonds. Now RuneScape bonds are not all similar to bonds you'd get from a bank in real life, but we'll have a look at that. And we'll see if there's some emerging markets or speculative investments. Altogether, we'll see if we can build a retirement plan perfect for you. So obviously I'm not an expert on this, but I've been reading the personal finance Reddit for a while. But anyway, I hope you find the video interesting, and let's get started. So let's set the stage here. So you just got a viable moneymaker that you can do all the time. You just graduated from RuneScape college, essentially, and now you're getting a real income. So what most people would advise you doing before you invest any money into stocks or bonds or really any financial vessel, you should have a certain amount of liquid assets. And basically what that is just cash, or in RuneScape terms, it would be GP or even platinum tokens would be fine. Why people do this is to have something that's called an emergency fund or a rainy day fund or whatever you want to call it. It's basically just money for anything that might come up, whether it be debts, emergency, your car breaks down. Now in RuneScape, a really good reason to actually have liquid assets or cash is because of in-game bonds or membership time running out. So let's say you leave your account for a year and you come back and all you have is items. Well, for one, you can't actually sell them in RuneScape, so that's a big issue. Two, it could take a long time to sell some of your rare items off. It's good to have a little bit of cash so you can rebuy a bond when you come back to play. So now that you've saved a little bit of money in case of an emergency or let's say your bond running out, now let's move on to some stock investments. Now one of the most popular types of investments and the easiest really is what is called an index fund. And one of the most popular index funds is called the S&P 500, which stands for the Standard & Poor 500, which is just a conglomeration of 500 plus US stocks that have been performing well over the year. If we have a look at its historical data all the way back until 1978, you can see that it's just continuously going up and down, up and down. Here in 2008 is when that big recession and the market crashed, but now it's just been continuously going back up. One cool thing that GE Tracker actually did add a little while ago is market indexes. It's a good comparison and way to explain essentially what the S&P 500 is. GE Tracker is a sponsor of mine. There will be a link in the description for this website. So let's just have a look at the market index as a whole. Now this is basically pulling a bunch of different RuneScape items. It's just taking all of the market data and plotting it onto one graph or one fund or one thing you'd invest in. So while this isn't really possible to do in RuneScape, you'd have to buy all the funds yourself or buy all the items yourself. This would be a kind of cool thing if they ever added that feature. You can see that as a whole the market's actually been declining for the last year. Now we don't really have a long enough historical data to say for sure exactly what the market trend is, but I wouldn't be surprised if things are actually receding. Now that being said, I've gone ahead and picked some items that have historically been rising up in price for the last 2 or 3 years. Now this market index is definitely not worth investing in because a lot of the items are resources, runes, ores, basically stuff that will not sway in price too much. Now let's have a look at some of the items I've picked. I'll put a full list in the video description, and I'll just show you in a minute here too. The things I decided to go with are, for one, high level PVM gear. So items like the Armadillo chestplate you can see have slowly been rising up in price ever since 2015. Now that's pretty much as far back as the wiki has been tracking. Now it's really hard to say for sure exactly why each item is trending upwards or downwards. There's game updates, there's bots that come and make items crash, there's new players, there's a ton of different reasons why items might be continuously going up, and it's going to be kind of hard for me to figure out exactly why each one is trending upwards. Now I've noticed a trend that a lot of high level PVM gear seems to continuously rise up, along with rares and some lower level PVM gear as well. I would argue that a lot of that has to do with updates making them more viable, but let's have a look. So Armadillo chestplate, we're going to put in our index. Armadillo chain skirt also has been on the rise for quite a while. Bandos chestplate, really nice. You can see it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, but it's pretty much just on a straight line upwards. Now super rare items like the third age pickaxe, while there was an update here, it was actually continuously rising up before that point, and now it's even more valuable and is still on the rise. Now my guess as to why items like the third age pickaxe are continuously on the rise is that they come into the game at such a slow rate that new players are reaching max cash and have excessive wealth in excess over how many are coming into the game. So more people are like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna go buy a third age pickaxe, over how many are actually getting put into the game via master clues. Next, the kind of interesting item is the goat tuber. It's a one-time quest item that is used and consumed, and literally nobody will actually harvest these except for the quest. So you can see they are continuously been on the rise pretty much since 2016. Ranger boots started about 15 mil back in 2016, and they're all the way up to 36 mil. Now here's a full list of items I went through and looked at, and I would add to my own personal index fund. The Durox armor set, the Armadyl chest plate, the Armadyl chain skirt, the Armadyl helmet, the Bandos chest plate, Bandos tassets. The twisted bow I wasn't 100% sure on. I think I'm actually gonna delete that. The third age pickaxe, third age axe, Ranger boots, dragon pickaxe, the gilded armor sets, Smoldering Stone, Goat Tuber, and Dragon Boots, interestingly enough. For this purpose, it's a little unfortunate that RuneScape doesn't have any discontinued rares, because those are going to continuously rise up in price, almost certainly. So items like the party hats in RuneScape 3 or Halloween masks, since there is no more stock coming into the game, they are continuously going to be getting rarer and more expensive, so that is a certain investment. Now there's a couple items that are extremely rare in RuneScape, but they're not discontinued. Now one item that I'm almost positive will continuously rise up in price over the years is actually the RuneScape bond. And the reason I think that is because it's directly actually tied to a currency. An item like this will have to raise up in price. Like imagine if RuneScape 3 had bonds and they stayed at 3 mil for 2 weeks the entire duration of the game. Like it'd be so cheap to buy a membership, and that would be devaluing real life currency, which is never going to happen. But if we have a look at the chart here, they started about 800k back in 2015, and now they're up to about 3 mil. They peak around Christmas time, but they'll continuously go up as long as RuneScape's around, I'm pretty sure. The one drawback to bonds is that, for one, there's a fee on the exchange, so you're having to pay 10% of the bond every time, and you can only have one offer slot dedicated to buying one bond, which is definitely an hindrance. So all that together is pretty much my view of what RuneScape stocks would look like. If you're kind of younger and you're looking for more of a risky investment, you could put 70% of your items into rares or stocks, something like that. Now next up, a lot of people will invest in things that are called bonds. Now these are not similar to RuneScape bonds at all, of course. Bonds are kind of something given out by a bank or a financial establishment that will mature over a certain period of time. You're getting a very specific amount of interest on that bond over that time. Now there isn't anything identical to that in RuneScape. The closest thing I could find was actually putting an offer in for stuff below alc value. Now an offer like that is going to take quite a while to complete, but you're getting a guaranteed percent back for every item that you buy. Because something like the Dragon Plate Leg cannot drop below alc value, you're guaranteed to get a certain amount of profit on that item. And that's a very safe investment, but you're never going to get a lot of money from that. We can see here the high alc profit right now is actually 409 GP. So let's say you bought 10 of those a day, you're getting 4k a day, and say in 1 year's time you have like 2k Dragon Plate Legs, you're going to alch them all and maybe you get like a mil profit. The reason people invest in bonds is again to help diversify their investments more. It's a safe option, and some people will go as far to go like 50% bonds or 50% stocks. Now the Dragon Plate Leg might not be the best item just because it's so expensive. If we have a look on GE Tracker, there is a, let's see here, high alchemy section. You'd probably want to look for an item that is traded frequently. However, you don't want it to be this expensive. Let's say like Dragon Med Helms. You could buy them for 58,890. We're getting let's say 1,000 GP in profit. And let's say you luck out and you buy 8 every 4 hours, you're going to get like 30 to 40 a day. So this would be a good, safe, passive investment. Kind of bottlenecked by the Grand Exchange limit. It also probably helps keep the price below alc value as well. So all said and done, let's say we invest 20% of your assets into bonds. And last up here is going to be speculative investments. Now these are just kind of like emerging markets, or in RuneScape terms, items that are pretty risky. Let's say like people would invest in Bitcoin, because that has the potential to make you loads, but it's kind of high risk, high reward. You don't really want to put a lot of your money into these, but there's no reason not to put a bit in. Back in 2015, if you invested even 10% of your money into Bitcoin, you'd probably still be a millionaire now. So it's kind of worth diversifying into higher risk things as well. So in RuneScape terms, is the Seer Call. Did I just name the Seer Call to be the Bitcoin of RuneScape? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Seer Call or items like the Dragon Axe. Now these items are pretty near to their alc price, so you're not going to lose a ton of money on them, and they do have the potential to get buffed or become more rare, or another reason for them to drastically increase in price. Items like the Kraken Tentacle over the last month would have been a great investment. A Rim Staff, again, another great investment. Just items that are underpowered and will potentially be changed in the future to become more valuable. So let's say you put 10% of your money into there, and that's 100%. We're all good. Now there are other things in real life you might invest in, like a 401k, which is an employer match program, but there isn't really something like that in RuneScape unless you count money doublers to be that. So there you go, guys. Once you have got your entire investment set up, when you're 65, you'll be able to finally be wealthy and start playing the game. Anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to toss a video a like, and I will see you in the next video.